Hillary Clinton went on her recent book tour to tell America what happened. And it turns out that what happened is that Hillary Clinton became the country's biggest sore loser. In a recent interview with CNN, she called for the abolition of the Electoral College, which for 230 years has dictated the election of U.S. presidents. Watch this.
Do you think the Electoral College should be abolished?
I said that in 2000. After what happened to the 2000 election with Al Gore. We've moved toward one person, one vote. That's how we select winners. I was amused after the French elections when I was listening to an interview with a French electoral expert, and he said, well, unlike your country, the person who wins the most votes wins. So I think it needs to be eliminated. I'd like to see us move beyond it, yes.
Leslie Marshall is a talk radio show host, and she agrees with Hillary that we ought to abolish the Electoral College, and she joins us tonight. Leslie, good to see you.
Good to see you, Tucker.
So pardon my skepticism, but this last election seems to have changed the views of liberals on many things. I mean, for almost my entire life, liberals supported Russia, particularly when it was Soviet Russia. Now they're against it because Hillary blames Russia for her loss. The Electoral College has functioned, for a couple of centuries. We're a prosperous, happy country. Now we have to abolish it because she doesn't like it. Can you look right into the camera and say, if Hillary had lost the popular vote but won the Electoral College, you'd be for abolishing it?
Actually, I would, Tucker, because before I was a Democrat, do not faint, when I was in college and I was an independent, I was against the Electoral College then, and I still am now, regardless of the outcome of the election. Now, I must admit, in our history, 5 elections have gone against Democrats in favor of Republicans with the Electoral College versus the popular vote. But that's honestly not why. As a Democrat, of course, I'll take the advantage if it comes up. But I don't think it's an advantage. I think it's a disadvantage. I'm in a state, for example, here in California, where numerous people will say, my vote doesn't count. And that includes many Republicans who are like, it's just going to go to the Democratic candidate anyway. And unfortunately, that's true. There is something to one voice, one vote. I believe, and I love a democracy, a true democracy, and even though we operate as a republic, I would like to see a majority rule, even if my candidate loses. And by the way, the president himself, back in 2012, said the Electoral College was a disaster for democracy, and he changed his mind as well. So it's not just us liberals who changed their minds.
I'm not surprised. Then, I mean, let's take what you're saying seriously. If we're going to have a one-man, one-vote system, pure democracy, as you said, real democracy, then we've got to abolish the Senate because it's not, of course, democratic. A senator from California represents 40 million people. A senator from Wyoming represents a little over 500,000. It's not one voice, one vote, as you put it. It's totally skewed. So you'd get rid of the Senate, right?
Well, I think when you have progress in a nation and you change, certainly our country has changed in the past 230 years, from the late 1700s till now. I mean, not just our demographics, not just how many states do we have now compared to then. Honestly, and I know they're going to get mad at me in Rhode Island, but to have 2 people representing Rhode Island and 2 people, you mentioned the state I'm in, of California, representing the population of this state, which is larger than some nations throughout the world. No, I don't think it's right. And I know you're going to be.
But are you ready for this?
The two-party system is a bit archaic as well. So let's change it.
I mean, then maybe you just want a. Do you want a direct democracy? You ready for the consequences, though? Because gay marriage wouldn't be the law of the land. It lost in California, as you know. Global warming, not even a concern for most people. You'd never get a carbon tax under a direct democracy. And you'd have to change the population of the country. So, in other words, the idea that the majority rules, it's a great idea, and I'm for it. I'm more on the populist side, but a pure democracy would disenfranchise rich liberals, the ones who run the Democratic Party, completely. Their ideas have no popular support. Is that a concern for you?
I don't think their ideas have no populist support. And I understand what you're saying about a vote here in California. You have to look at the demographic of the voters, and you have to look at also the language of that ballot measure here in California.
Okay,
on a national scale. On a national scale, polls show that most liberal social issues are actually viewed favorably by both left and right, whether it's legalizing marijuana, gay marriage, and things like that. And honestly, Tucker, most fiscal issues, left and right, are more so agreed on. People are, even Democrats, even myself, are a bit more fiscally conservative. So I think it would work out. And quite frankly, I want everyone to feel that they have a voice. And in this state of California where I live and in the rest of the states in this country, I know many people don't vote. Look at how few people vote in our elections, not just our presidential elections.
I'm laughing.
Because
people voted this time. The public said it wanted something different. They elected Trump, and like everyone in LA has been having an aneurysm ever since.
How many people voted? How many people voted?
Leslie, I don't know.
The amount of people that can vote, how many people voted in this election compared to the numbers and percentages in other countries?
You know, people who care vote. I'm happy with that. Leslie Marshall, thank you for joining us tonight. Great to see you.
Thank you, Tucker. You too.